Hey everyone! Welcome to TrueGritEnglish Stories. Today, let's talk about something really personal: finding your voice. Maybe you're like me, sometimes struggling to say exactly what's on your mind in English. It can feel like your mouth just isn't cooperating, right? I remember when I first started learning English. The words were there, in my head. But getting them out, that was the hard part. It felt like my tongue was tied. I'd stumble, I'd freeze, and honestly, sometimes I'd just give up. It was frustrating. Really frustrating. Maybe you feel that way too. It's okay, you're not alone. This isn't about being perfect. This is about progress, about gently training your mouth, your mind, and your confidence. Let's start this journey together. Think of it like this: we are building a bridge word by word to connect with others. I used to be so embarrassed. I'd avoid situations where I had to speak English. I'd let other people order my food at restaurants. I'd pretend I didn't understand when someone asked me a question. It was a terrible way to live. It felt like I was hiding a part of myself. One time I was in London for a conference. I really wanted to see a specific play, but the tickets were sold out online. I knew I had to call the theater. My heart was pounding. My palms were sweating. I practiced what I wanted to say over and over. But when the person on the other end of the phone answered, my mind went completely blank. I stammered. I used the wrong words. I felt my face getting red. Finally, I managed to ask if there were any cancellations. The person on the phone was really patient, thankfully. They said they did have one ticket available. I was so relieved I almost cried, but even though I got the ticket, I felt defeated. I knew I could do better. I needed to do better. That experience was a turning point. I decided I was tired of being afraid to speak. I was tired of letting my fear control me. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I was determined to improve. I started small. I started practicing with my friend Maria. Maria was also learning English. We would meet every week and just talk about anything and everything. First, it was really awkward. We made a lot of mistakes. We laughed a lot. But slowly we started to get more comfortable. We started to feel more confident. We started to find our voices. One of the things that helped me the most was learning some common English expressions. These are phrases that native speakers use all the time, but they might not be obvious if you're just learning the language. For example, one expression I learned was be, to be on the same page, /be. This means that you and another person agree or understand something in the same way. It's really useful. Maria and I used to joke that we were never on the same page. She'd be talking about one thing, and I'd be completely lost. But as we practiced more, we started to understand each other better. We started to be on the same page more often. Another expression I found really helpful was be. To get the hang of something, /be. This means to learn how to do something, especially something that is difficult at first. Like, it was hard at first, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of speaking English. When you start to feel like you get the hang of speaking, it's a great feeling. A very satisfying feeling. We use graded readers too. These books are written specifically for English learners, so the language is simpler and easier to understand. We would take turns reading aloud to each other. It was a great way to practice our pronunciation and our fluency. Don't get me wrong. It was intimidating at first, but it really helped. I know that learning a new language can be challenging. There will be times when you feel like giving up. There will be times when you feel frustrated and discouraged. But please don't give up. Keep practicing. Keep learning. Keep finding your voice. It is so important to remember that everyone makes mistakes. Even native speakers make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from your mistakes and to keep moving forward. Don't let the fear of making mistakes stop you from speaking. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. The more confident you become, the more you'll enjoy speaking. And the more you enjoy speaking, the more you'll want to speak. It's a positive cycle. I am so passionate about learning new languages. I now speak 3 languages fluently. It has opened so many doors for me. It has allowed me to connect with people from all over the world. It has broadened my horizons and enriched my life in countless ways. It is important to remember that everyone learns at their own pace. Don't compare yourself to others. Just focus on your own progress. Celebrate your small victories. Acknowledge your accomplishments. And be proud of yourself for all that you have achieved. Never forget why you started on this journey. One last thing, I always tell myself this: learning English isn't just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about connecting with people. It's about sharing your ideas. It's about expressing yourself. It's about finding your voice. So go out there and find yours. Reading changed my life, and it can change yours too. Think of speaking like learning an instrument, or even learning to ride a bike. Takes practice, and it involves building muscle memory. Your mouth has to learn new shapes, new sounds, new rhythms. This is why simply reading grammar books sometimes isn't enough. You have to actually speak. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are just your mouth doing its reps at the gym. Every stumble is a step closer to fluency. We'll explore simple exercises today, small things you can do daily. We're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming for comfortable, confident communication. So relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, and let's begin. Let's talk about muscle memory for a second. When you're learning to play the piano, you don't just read the sheet music. You practice the scales over and over. Your fingers learn where to go without you even thinking about it. Speaking is the same way. Your tongue, your lips, your jaw, they all need to learn how to move in specific ways to produce English sounds. Think about the D sound, for example. It doesn't exist in many languages. It can feel really strange at first. But with practice, your mouth will get used to it. It will become second nature. It will feel natural. When I was learning English, I used to practice tongue twisters. Remember those? She sells seashells by the seashore. They seem silly, but they're actually a great way to warm up your mouth and improve your pronunciation. It gets your mouth moving in different ways. Another thing that helped me was mimicking native speakers. I would listen to podcasts and try to copy the way the speakers pronounce words and phrases. I would even record myself and compare my pronunciation to theirs. It was a little embarrassing at first, but it really helped me to improve. Remember Maria, my friend from the last part? We used to challenge each other with tongue twisters. It was hilarious. We'd both be laughing and stumbling over the words, but it was also a really effective way to practice. I remember one time we were trying to say, "The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday." We could not get it right. We were laughing so hard we were crying. But after a while we started to get the hang of it. We even made a competition out of it. Speaking of getting the hang of it, let's talk about another useful expression. To be a piece of cake. This means that something is very easy to do. Like, after practicing for a few weeks, speaking English is now a piece of cake. It sounds strange, but that's what it means. When something is easy, I wish speaking English had been a piece of cake for me from the beginning. But it wasn't. It was hard work. But the important thing is that I didn't give up. I kept practicing, even when I felt discouraged. And eventually it started to get easier. Another thing that helped me was changing my mindset. I used to be so focused on making mistakes. I was so afraid of saying the wrong thing. But then I realized that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. They're how we learn. They're how we improve. Instead of being afraid of making mistakes, I started to embrace them. I started to see them as opportunities to learn and grow. And when I changed my mindset, I started to feel more confident and more relaxed. It's also important to remember that communication is more than just grammar and vocabulary. It's about connecting with other people. It's about sharing your ideas and your experiences. It's about being yourself. Don't be afraid to let your personality shine through when you speak English. Let your sense of humor come out. Share your opinions. Tell your stories. The more authentic you are, the more engaging you will be. Here's another great expression for you. Be to think outside the box. This means to come up with creative or unconventional ideas. It's important to do this when you're learning a language. Don't be afraid to try new things, to experiment with different approaches. There is no one right way to learn English. The best way is the way that works best for you. Remember that conference in London I talked about? After a lot of practice, the next year I had to give a presentation. I was still nervous, but I was much more confident than the year before. I had practiced my presentation thoroughly. I knew the material inside and out, and I had learned to control my anxiety. The presentation went really well. I even got some compliments on my English. It was a huge confidence boost. I realized that all my hard work had paid off. I had finally started to feel comfortable speaking English. Don't get me wrong, I still make mistakes. But now I don't let them bother me. I just laugh them off and keep going. Because I know that mistakes are a part of the journey. So remember, practice makes perfect. Embrace your mistakes. Change your mindset. Let your personality shine through. And don't be afraid to think outside the box. Reading changed my life, and it can change yours too. Graded readers are your secret weapon. They're stories written with specific language levels in mind. They're designed to be accessible, enjoyable, and most importantly, they're designed to get you speaking. Find a graded reader that interests you. It could be a mystery, a romance, even a science fiction story. Read a short passage aloud. Don't worry about sounding perfect. Just focus on clearly pronouncing the words. Record yourself. Yes, it might feel awkward at first, but listening back allows you to hear yourself objectively. You can identify areas where you stumble, where your pronunciation needs a little work. This isn't about criticism. It's about awareness. When I first discovered graded readers, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I had been struggling with complex novels and news articles, feeling completely overwhelmed. The language was too difficult, the vocabulary too advanced. I felt like I was drowning in words. But then, a friend recommended a graded reader. It was a simplified version of a classic novel, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I was immediately hooked. The story was engaging, the language was clear, and I could actually understand it. I started reading it aloud, slowly and deliberately. First, I stumbled over some of the words. My pronunciation was terrible. But I kept practicing. I kept reading. And gradually I started to improve. One of the things I found most helpful was recording myself. I would read a chapter aloud, then listen back to the recording. It was painful at first. I cringed at my mistakes, but it was also incredibly useful. It allowed me to identify my weaknesses and focus on improving them. It was hard to face. I would just close my eyes and press play cringing. When I heard a word, phrase, or sentence that was not right, I would stop the recording and practice it again. Then I would re-record the original section. That method worked for me. I hope it does for you. For example, I realized that I was pronouncing the T sound incorrectly. I had been saying it like a D sound. So I focused on practicing the N sound. I watched videos online. I listened to native speakers, and eventually I was able to pronounce it correctly. Graded readers also helped me to expand my vocabulary. I was learning new words in context, which made them easier to remember. I would also look up any words that I didn't understand. I kept a notebook where I wrote down new words and their definitions. Here's a very useful expression for you. V, to brush up on something. /B. That means to improve your knowledge of something, especially something you haven't used in a while. Like, I need to brush up on my English grammar before the exam. I often brushed up on my vocabulary by using flashcards. I would write the word on one side of the card and the definition on the other side. Then I would quiz myself. It was a simple but effective way to learn new words. I also started to use graded readers to practice my writing skills. I would choose a passage from the book and rewrite it in my own words. It was a great way to improve my grammar and sentence structure. I was essentially brushing up on my writing skills. Another expression I learned was B, to get something off your chest. /. This means to talk about something that is bothering you. Like, I need to get something off my chest. I'm really worried about my English exam. Sometimes I would talk to Maria about my frustrations with learning English. It helped to get my feelings off my chest. She would always listen patiently and offer encouragement. Remember that conference in London? Using graded readers prepared me for a new conference a year later. I read many graded readers before I attended the next conference. I wanted to immerse myself in English. I even read graded readers about the topic of the conference. Because of this, I was much more confident. I understood more of what was said, and I was able to participate more actively in the discussions. I felt like I was finally able to fully engage with the conference. I think the best way to use graded readers is to find one that you genuinely enjoy reading. If you're not interested in the story, you're less likely to stick with it. Choose a genre that you like, whether it's mystery, romance, or science fiction. Don't be afraid to start with a lower-level reader. It's better to read something that you can understand than to struggle with something that is too difficult. You can always move on to a higher-level reader later. Make reading a part of your daily routine. Even just reading for 15 minutes a day can make a big difference. The more you read, the more your English will improve. Graded readers are a fantastic resource for English learners. They can help you improve your reading, speaking, writing, and listening skills. They can also help you build your confidence and feel more comfortable using English. So go out there and find a graded reader that you enjoy. Reading changed my life, and it can change yours too. English has a rhythm, a melody. It's not just about the individual words, it's about how they flow together. Try listening to English songs. Pay attention to how the singer pronounces the words, how they emphasize certain syllables. Sing along even if you're terrible at singing. It doesn't matter. The point is to get your mouth used to the sounds and rhythms of the language. You can also try mimicking actors in your favorite movies or TV shows. Emphasize intonation. This is where the emotion lies. Is it a question? Does it sound curious, excited, sad? Mimicking emotion helps connect you to the language on a deeper level. It's more than just words, it's feeling. I used to think that learning English was all about memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary lists. I spent hours studying textbooks, trying to cram information into my brain. But it wasn't working. I still felt awkward and unnatural when I spoke. Then I discovered the power of music. I started listening to English songs not just passively but actively. I paid attention to the lyrics, the rhythm, the melody. I tried to understand how the singer was using their voice to convey emotion. It was like unlocking a secret code. I realized that English wasn't just a language, it was a song, and I needed to learn how to sing it. I started singing along to my favorite songs, even though I'm not a very good singer. It didn't matter. The point was to get my mouth used to the sounds and rhythms of English. I also started watching English movies and TV shows. I would pay attention to the actors' voices, their intonation, their body language. I would try to mimic them. It was a fun and engaging way to learn. One of my favorite things to do was to watch a scene from a movie, then pause it and try to repeat the lines exactly as the actor had said them. I would focus on matching their pronunciation, their intonation, and their rhythm. It was challenging, but it was also very rewarding. Maria and I would often do this together. We would choose a scene from a movie and then take turns playing different characters. It was hilarious. We would often laugh at each other's terrible accents. But it was also a great way to practice. Speaking of accents, I have an expression for you. To have a knack for something. /it. This means to have a natural talent or ability for something. Some people have a knack for learning languages. Some people have a knack for music. I don't think I have a knack for languages, but I do have a knack for music. And I used that to my advantage when I was learning English. I found that by focusing on the musicality of the language, I was able to learn more quickly and easily. Another expression I want to share is to be in the same boat. This means to be in the same difficult situation as someone else. When I felt discouraged about learning English, I would remind myself that I wasn't alone. There were millions of other people in the same boat. Knowing that I wasn't alone helped me to keep going. It gave me the motivation to persevere. I would often connect with other English learners online. We would share our experiences, offer encouragement, and practice speaking together. The thing about mimicking actors and singers is that it helps you to understand the nuances of the language. It helps you to understand how native speakers use their voices to express themselves. It helps you to understand the cultural context of the language. It gives you a deeper understanding of the language, and this is why I am an advocate for that. For example, I learned that English speakers often use sarcasm. Sarcasm is a way of saying something that means the opposite of what you actually say. It can be difficult to understand sarcasm if you're not familiar with the cultural context. But by watching English movies and TV shows, I was able to learn how to recognize sarcasm and how to use it myself. The key is to listen carefully, pay attention to the details, and don't be afraid to experiment. The more you immerse yourself in the sound of English, the more natural it will become to you. It is also beneficial to find music that you enjoy. What genres or bands do you normally listen to? Find an English version of that. Find English bands in those styles. This way you enjoy the music and it can help your learning as a bonus. You can also try listening to audiobooks. This is a great way to improve your listening comprehension skills. Choose a book that interests you and listen to it while you're commuting to work or exercising. Remember that conference in London? Singing and mimicking improved my skills so that a year later I could understand everything at the conference and talk to native speakers. So embrace the musicality of English. Listen to songs, watch movies, and mimic actors. Let your voice soar. Be passionate. Reading changed my life and it can change yours too. Remember, this journey isn't about becoming a perfect English speaker overnight. It's about continuous improvement, about gradually training your mouth and mind to work together. Be kind to yourself. Don't be afraid to speak, even if you make mistakes. Find a language partner, join a conversation group, or simply talk to yourself in English. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become. Celebrate small victories. Did you successfully order a coffee in English today? Did you understand a joke? These are all signs of progress. Acknowledge them and use them as fuel to keep going. Your voice matters. Don't be afraid to use it. Thanks for joining me on TrueGritEnglish Stories. Until next time, keep speaking. One of the biggest challenges I faced when learning English was overcoming my fear of making mistakes. I was so worried about saying the wrong thing that I often avoided speaking altogether. I would clam up in conversations. I would second-guess every word that came out of my mouth. It was exhausting. But then I realized that making mistakes is a natural and essential part of the learning process. Everyone makes mistakes. Even native speakers make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from your mistakes and to keep moving forward. One thing that helped me to overcome my fear of making mistakes was to reframe my thinking. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, I started to see them as opportunities for growth. I started to see them as data points that could help me to improve. I also learned to laugh at my mistakes. I realized that it's okay to be silly and make mistakes. It's part of being human. And when you can laugh at yourself, it takes away some of the pressure. Maria, my friend, was a great help. We used to have a motto, be fake it till you make it /be. This means to pretend to be confident and successful, even if you don't feel that way. Eventually, you will actually become confident and successful. We would encourage each other to fake it till we made it. When we were feeling nervous about speaking English, we would pretend to be confident and fluent, even though we were making mistakes. And eventually, we did become more confident and fluent. Here is another expression I like. Be. To go the extra mile. /it. This means to do more than what is expected of you. When you are learning English, it's important to go the extra mile. Don't just do the bare minimum. Push yourself. Challenge yourself. For example, I used to watch English movies with subtitles, but then I decided to go the extra mile. I started watching them without subtitles. It was difficult at first, but it helped me to improve my listening comprehension skills. It is also important to be patient with yourself. Learning a new language takes time and effort. There will be times when you feel like you're not making any progress, but don't give up. Keep practicing. Keep learning. Keep moving forward. I remember one time I was trying to learn a new grammar rule. I studied it for hours, but I just couldn't seem to understand it. I was getting so frustrated. I felt like I was never going to learn English, but then I took a break. I went for a walk. I listened to some music. And when I came back to the grammar rule, it suddenly made sense. I had just needed to give my brain some time to process the information. The conference in London showed me how far I had come. Every day I am grateful for the little things I do and how that all adds up. It may take a long time, but progress is progress. Remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is communication. The goal is to be able to connect with other people, to share your ideas, and to express yourself. And you can do that even if you're not perfect. I still make mistakes. But now I don't let them stop me. I just keep talking. I keep learning. And I keep growing. That is the most important thing. So embrace your mistakes. Fake it till you make it. Go the extra mile. Be patient with yourself. And never give up on your dreams. So find your voice and speak your truth. The world needs to hear what you have to say. Your voice matters. Reading changed my life, and it can change yours too.